Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the rib, the beginning of another week. And we got a lot of things to talk about, I guess. And I guess Monacchio, the last head of the Rhode Island crime family died. We can start with that.
Yep, that's it.
He was into his 90s.
And he died at the Veterans Home.
Yeah. Yeah, he spent a short time in the military, too, before he became he took over from Junior Patriarca, I think. So so he was, he did some time and was an old school Don. So that was it. But you let off your flush this week. I guess we could start with that, with talking about Willie Flanagan.
Yes,
becoming
indeed.
a Republican. And did you notice that when he talked about the differences in his philosophy, because as most of the normal people have done, most of the Democrats today, if they have a functional brain, have either moved away from the party and said the party's abandoned them, or they've become independents. They haven't all become Republicans. I think the majority of them have become independent, because the party, what's left of the Democratic Party, they got annihilated because these people that are running the party, they're nuts. They're crazy. They're still saying Biden was a great president and he should be, and he's got all his faculties. And I mean, these people they're seriously delusionary, and it's crazy. And you're right. He wants to run. And I'm going to tell you something. You got to give Will credit. He's learned a lot about politics. He's not dumb. I mean, the guy knew politics. He was always a pretty likable guy. He kind of screwed the city up for a while, and I mean, by comparison to Coogan, he was like Elon Musk, for God's sakes, isn't that? But I think he's learned his lesson, and I think he realizes that. You notice the way he set himself up, though, talking about how he's about the people, and he's moving away from this what they now is actually mainstream Democratic radical policy. I mean, I think he's setting him up. I think he's setting himself up perfectly to run against Auchincloss.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And Will did say in his announcement that he didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left him. But he said that he's not opposed to a run for local office again, which also makes for an interesting time. And remember, Will isn't known outside of Fall River too much, okay, except for possibly the recall. So he's gonna run in a district that runs from Newton all the way down to Fall River, and that's a lot of cities and towns. And he's going to have to hit every one of them to make himself known, especially as a Republican. Because I think people might be more willing to elect somebody who's unenrolled than another Democrat.
No, you're right, CJ. He's got a tough road, but one thing about it, he can read the tea leaves.
Yeah, he can.
I mean, Auchincloss is a real radical Democrat. He is exactly what the people rebelled against in this country.
Yet they reelected him.
But
he had nobody running against him.
Yeah, because there was nobody running against him. And the fact is, he's the guy that complains about January 6th, but opened the doors for the camera crew that wanted to go harass Republicans. He's the guy that doesn't give a shit about the fact that we have no affordable housing in Fall River. He doesn't care. He's a radical. He's talking about, trying to protect illegals. He's all in favor of all the policies. Look, Will's not Will's not dumb. He's looking at the tea leaves. He's saying, look, Southeastern Mass, they know me. My policies, remember, Trump won this area.
That's right, he did.
And there are a lot, and even in Newton and Wellesley, look at, I'm not saying that those are dramatically navy blue up there because they're all rich. They're all like Auchincloths. They don't give a shit about the regular people. That's the reason we've never had a congressman from this area. But I'm going to tell you something. If he runs the right campaign, he's got a real good shot of unseating Auchincloths, because I'll tell you, he's done some dumb shit.
Yeah, he has. No question about it.
And he could be attacked on it by someone who is a moderate Republican or a moderate anybody. But I agree with you. If he was an independent, I think he would do better. It would also help him because I'm sure that some Republican, if he runs, some Republican in the Newton-Wellesley area will declare and he'll be primaried.
Right.
So that's another political factor you have to look at.
Right. Because as an unenrolled, he won't have a primary. He just goes on the ballot. Yeah.
So it's pretty good. But this is the radicalism. You know, I was doing a little research and I came across a couple of things and you know, because I'm always watching things and stuff. Somebody reminded me about, I've already forgotten. I didn't forget it, but I mean, it's way in the back of the memory bank. Germany has always been a country where, and Europe on the whole, Western Europe has always been very prone to radical socialism and Marxism and stuff like that. That's why Hitler rose to power. For some reason, they're very, very malleable when it comes to that. They have that. And I saw a commentary that reminded us. I don't know if you remember, in the late '60s, early '70s, there was a movement in Germany called Baader Meinhof. Yeah, well, he's got some time, Jeff. The Baader Meinhof movement was a super ultra radical Marxist movement, kind of like paralleling Nazis. And one of the promoters was a journalist, actually, named she's got a German name, and actually her name was Meinhof. I don't know if they named the movement after her. But this is a quote she said, and this is what really reminded me about this quote is about these people who still want to kill everybody who doesn't agree with them. These Democrats want to kill Trump, kill every MAGA person because, you know, their democracy is when there's only them around. There's no democracy, and it's a constitutional republic. But this quote is just really, really, it encapsulates everything. It's scary. And I'm going to read the quote directly, because this is how she defines, because they talk about resistance. Remember what they talked about. We're going to resist getting rid of the illegals and stuff like that. But this is the mindset that these people have. Protest is when I say, this does not please me. So in other words, all those people running around wreaking havoc, protesting against Israel, they're just saying that Israel doesn't please them. But listen to her, the second half of this, her definition of resistance. And this is what they're going to say. They're going to resist illegals. Resistance is when I ensure what does not please me no longer occurs no more. It's gone. You kill it. You eradicate it. That's scary. Because what they're telling you is they don't want you to exist. You can't have a different opinion. And they call MAGA people Nazis and fascists. Think about that, you morons that are still clinging and trying to justify the Biden-Harris administration that destroyed this country. Think about that quote. Do some homework. Learn some history. Because if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. That's what happened to Germany. They lost World War II. They didn't learn. They learned World War I. They didn't learn. They started another world war. 20 years later, they lost it again. And in 68, 70, they started movements again, but it got crushed. But these people are dangerous. Do not kid yourself. This is not over by any means with these radicals, because I wouldn't be surprised, unfortunately, see another assassination attempt on Trump during his tenure as president, because these people are nuts. Look what happened to the CEO of United Health. These people believe in killing anybody that they're pissed off at, not just having a difference of opinion. You don't have to get United Health. I don't like insurance companies. I'm fighting with them all the time, especially healthcare companies, and so are you, CJ.
That's right.
We're always fighting with them. But I'm not going to go shoot the guy. I'm going to tell people, don't get United Health. You don't like this shit. They deny 50% of their claims. Don't get that company. I've had doctors who are friendly, who are friendly to me, who are my friends, tell me certain companies don't pay well. They don't pay on time. They reject claims. They give them a hard time. And I tell people to avoid those companies. I don't go out and shoot somebody that's in charge of United Health or Tufts or somebody or some other company. So this is serious stuff. People think this is just banter. This is just a difference of opinion. No. They believe in killing you. Freudian slip with the comedian holding Trump's severed head. That wasn't comedy. That was what she was really thinking subconsciously. We're entering a very dangerous time once Trump gets into office, because they don't want him there, even though now he's already shown on the interview he had on Meet the Press, he said, there blows up all your theories about we're going to protect our illegals. He said, I only want the people who are criminals and who are illegals that just came in. He said on that interview that he was looking for a pathway to keep to the people that have been here for decades and working. Dreamers, as the Democrats call them. He said he had absolutely no problem with them. He feels empathy for them. So there goes your damn theory that Trump is the fascist. You people are the fascists. With that, CJ, back to you.
I don't know where you stand. Can you really tell me where you stand?
Not me. It's Trump. I'm just speaking.
No, I know. And
I'm
Trump
just speaking the truth. It's like,
I know.
I didn't say this. This German said, in the 70s, kill you, get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because you mentioned how we might see this again through Trump's presidency. And Trump said yesterday, because I Meet the Press with Christian Walker, I don't normally watch mainstream media, but when I heard she had an interview, I wanted to see how she was going to stick it to him. And he didn't let her stick it to him. He stuck it to her. Every time she wanted to go somewhere, he turned it around. He put it right where he wanted it. And that's what he needs to do all the time. But he says that he trusts the Secret Service now. He believes that they can protect him. He said the problem was that they kept asking for more resources during the campaign, and the Secret Service kept refusing him more resources. And then after he got shot, then they provided the extra resources. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't it sound like something that happened in 1963?
Yeah. Well, listen, this is what they do. This is what Democrats do best. They deflect and they block everything and they ration. Listen, Trump trusts the Secret Service, but he doesn't trust the leadership of the FBI and the Secret Service. Because you see that interim director of the Secret Service completely not answering any questions, evading everything, never saying they were going to fire any, because nobody gets fired. Even the 15 people that had the orgy in the VA didn't get fired. Nobody gets fired in the Biden-Harris administration, no matter what they do. Nobody gets fired. You can't.
Sounds like the Coogan administration.
Yeah. Well, they hide them. They hide them. And listen, that's the problem, And speaking of, they never do anything. I got to get this one in, so I'm going to give them a heads up that this way they might try to do something. But Colin, if you're watching, I'll be sending you a picture very shortly. A friend of mine who's a really, really good guy. He really is invested in his community. Very religious guy. Really cares about veterans and the city.
Is that the guy with the auto body shop?
Yes.
I thought so.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy.
He is a wonderful guy. And he is a humble guy. And he always thinks of the city. He called the school department and reported that the flag at the Watson School was tattered and in shambles and nobody gave a shit. But he did. And I don't know who he called, but maybe Colin, maybe somebody. But they replaced the flag. But to show you how just pathetically insensitive they are to anything. They just show up for work like those people on the federal levels, and they don't do. We pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in salaries for maintenance for our buildings and our grounds and everything. They got a brand new flag, and kudos to him for getting a brand new flag and making sure, because he called me about how to dispose of it. So they disposed of it properly. The flagpole at the Watson School is a shithouse. It is rusted from top to bottom. It is an eyesore. Colin, I'll be taking a picture of it and sending it to you. And it's not the only city flagpole that looks like shit. Paul Coogan's worried about painting crosswalks and market rate housing, and he lives close to the. Take a ride by, Paulie. Look at the flagpole. It's a shit house. It's pathetic. This is what you get with Democrats. They pick your pocket. Oh, I just got my water bill, too. Thanks a lot for the increase, by the way. Again. But this is what happens. There's a really, really good guy that's invested in the community, that cares about people, that does things for people out of the goodness of his heart, doesn't ask for anything in return. Got a decent flag for the Watson School. We should have decent flags everywhere. But they don't care. They just don't care because they're oblivious to everything. There was some idiot on X saying Vance was crazy because he talked about he wanted to have a penalty for burning the flag, and he said, "Oh, he's an idiot because he doesn't know that that they burn flags when they dispose of them." Well, of course, I had to respond and say, "Well, if you read the whole damn thing, it says dignified disposal. When they burn the flags, it's a ceremony. It's a dignified ceremony honoring the flag of our nation. It's not burning it in the middle of the street and pissing on it and spitting on it while you're waving the flag of Hamas. Shitheads." These are the people you're dealing with. They don't care about reality. They live in their own universe, and like this pseudo-Nazi said, she just wants everybody gone that doesn't agree with them. So, let's see if Will runs for Congress. That'll be good. And I think you got a video. I found that video of someone. And let's when you guys look at this video, think about our school department.
Think about our city council too.
Think about our council, our school committee, and how our school department doesn't pay attention to what. Run that, CJ, please.
Hello, everyone. I've been coming here for 5 years now, and I was going to talk to you about some practical things that I thought you could change about 3210. But I've changed my mind. I've been really confused over the last 5 years as to why we spend 45 minutes to an hour of every public meeting talking about how great everyone is and how great everything is in the schools, and now I've figured it out. I figured it out because all these people came here to defend you all from hurtful words. This is obnoxious. Let me just say, there is one goal for the educational system. It should be to prepare children to enter careers to be productive members of society. It is not a counseling session. It is not a self-help area. It is not somewhere to find yourself, and we should not be led by the children, for goodness sake. The children are called dependents for a reason. They depend on us who have fully developed brains. You cannot feel your way through life. The issues that we are talking about, we are bringing you statistics. We are talking about scholastics. We are talking about funding. We are talking about busing. We are talking about trying to figure out how to make our children be as successful as possible. And I am sure that that is your goal. And what we have been called tonight is what they're claiming that we're saying to children. We're having an adult conversation. There are not children in this room. We aren't going into the schools and calling them names. They call us Marxists and hateful and bigots and everything else under the sun. Well, let me tell you, less than 5% of the entire population of North Carolina identifies as LGBTQ. You guys all claim you want democracy. Well, you know what democracy is? It's the majority plus one. It's 50 plus 1. You know what? More than 50% of the people in this state claim that they believe in God, Almighty God, who made us male and female, God who made marriage between a man and a woman, God who said that we must protect our children. The fact that we can stand up here and we know, we can brag about all of the wonderful graduations, but we know the statistics. 50% of children did not pass their end of grade tests. What are we celebrating? We have children coming up here telling us how horrible the mental health crisis is. Why? Most of us went to public school, and all of our peers are not in mental health crises. We have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to our children? I'm going to say we are discussing things with them that they are not emotionally, intellectually, and morally able to handle. That is what is causing the anxiety. That is what is causing the depression. That is what is causing the confusion. We need our children to be able to be children, to be able to be innocent, to be able to enjoy childhood and not know all of the drama and all of the difficulties in adult life. That is what we want. We want our children to be able to read and write and to think for themselves, and we demand that the children who fear God are protected in your schools.
I'm clapping too, because that was one of the greatest presentations I've ever seen. And let's think about it. You think she was talking about Tommy Corey? When they say all they do for 45 minutes is tell each other how great they are.
How great they are, exactly.
Oh, how dare you criticize Ken Pacheco? He's wonderful. He's the greatest person I've ever met. He's incredible. Paul's incredible. I'm incredible. We're all incredible. The schools are incredible. Everybody's incredible. And just like they had in North Carolina, they got shit for an educational system. They're not educating our children. She said it right. The sole goal is to educate our children. That was incredible. That presentation was absolutely.
Somewhere we forgot that. Somewhere our politicians forgot that.
Yeah, yeah. Boy, it's a mutual admiration society. They sit there in front of a camera and promote themselves and think people believe them, but they don't. This is why this election went the way it did. The people are smartening up. They're going, you people are full of shit. You keep telling us how great everything is, and it's not. The kids are screwed up, like he said. Like she said, listen, I don't want to hear that. These kids, and you know, one of the greatest parts of that piece is when she said, you don't let the kids run you. You're supposed to be running the system. And it was amazing. Yeah. You're right. They would immediately, well, look, if they were actually doing something for the taxpayers and for the students and for the city, of course you'd be gone. You're 100% right. Of course you'd be gone. Because in the real world, you don't do your job, you normally get fired. Unless you're the boss's son, then he gives you an office that you can just sit there and stay out of the way. But government, everybody gets an office to sit there and stay out of the way. This is the problem. This is why Trump wants Musk and Vivek to start looking at these things, because they run actual companies where if you hired a bunch of bozos like we got in this city, you'd be out of business in a New York minute. And that was I'll tell you, we got to run that every once in a while just to remember, because I'll tell you, you could just look. When I watched that, I had a vision of Tommy Corey and the rest of the cabal over there telling each other how great everybody is. See, it doesn't change. The only thing that changes are the names. The playbook is the same. Keep throwing the bullshit at everybody. Tell everybody that gets up there like that they call her a Marxist and a fascist, and they call you names, but you're telling the truth. They're telling you, believe us when we tell you we're doing a great job, even though the numbers don't show that. Like she said, we all went to school. We're not all in mental institutions. When I went to Durfee, there was a car accident where 4 Durfee students were killed on Fish Road. And you know what happened? The next day they said, oh, I won't name the names. Oh, they got killed on Fish Road last night. Okay, we went to class. There were no grief counselors. There was no shutting the school down. There was no whining, curling up in a fetal position on the floor. Shit happens. It's not only a bumper sticker.
And we turned out pretty well.
And we didn't have everybody in counseling. You know, the problem was that the psychologists realized that they'd be out of business if you kept bringing up people away. Well, I mean, it just got progressively worse. We got a little bit different, but like the people, like the greatest generation, my father's generation, where they lived through the Depression. Those people learned about real life. They got their electricity shut off. They had no food. But they fought in World War II because they were hard people. They realized that life is hard. Life's a grindstone. And there's an old adage, life's a grindstone. Now, whether you allow it to grind you into dust or polish you is your decision. We learned how to suck it up when we were younger. We didn't have, you know, every time somebody got the wrong pronoun, send me a psychiatrist, shut the school down. They called me the wrong pronoun. They're destroying the country. They've already destroyed the last 2 generations. So, you know, people are going to wake up. And that woman, I'll tell you what, she deserves an award for that presentation. That was, I mean, and she didn't have a teleprompter. She should be the vice president. Can you imagine Kamala Harris trying to put a piece together like that? That was epic. That was epic. You got to give her like kudos. Absolutely. That was great. What I would like to see is how much effect it had. Unfortunately, unless the people, it always gets down to this bottom line, unless the people in that community get to the polls and throw those people out, those words were just words. They're not going to have any effect on these politicians because as long as they're in, they will not change. No, that's right, Jeff. You picked yourself up and you became who you are, which is a good man. You know, you gotta, you know, that's why you don't have. Yeah, they are ridiculed. Like I said, she was called a fascist and a Nazi and everything else. But you know, this is why the Buddhists don't have as many problems. Because the first precept of Buddhism is accepting the fact that all life is suffering. There is suffering in life. These people want a life where there's no suffering, which is an impossibility. It's like a perfect vacuum. A perfect vacuum does not exist. Even though a lot of people think that we had 2 perfect vacuums in the White House, Biden and Harris, but they weren't. They were partial vacuums. There's no such thing as a perfect vacuum. So, but this is the problem. These people, they're not going to change. They're not. They have a philosophy and a mindset like those they did with that woman. I get back to her when she said they just want everybody who has a different opinion than them eradicated. They don't care. They want you gone by any means. And if they can kill you, that's fine. And, you know, that CEO being murdered and they still haven't caught that guy, which is mind boggling with all the, you know, to me, I don't know how they didn't get him. They knew he got on a bus. Why didn't they stop the bus? I don't know. Why didn't they? I don't know. But, they still haven't really determined the reason for it, but the societies, you know, you just can't kill people because you don't like them. That's not the way it's supposed to be in a civilized society. these people love to preach about civility and diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's no inclusion for anybody that has a different opinion than they do in their philosophy. Absolutely none. So, hey, is what it is. So that was a great piece, though, CJ. I'm glad you.
I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great.
She didn't say anything that wasn't 100% accurate.
Exactly, and it's not something we haven't experienced, because we've experienced it in our own city council, we've experienced it in our own school committee, and we experience it everywhere. Okay, I mean, how many times have you heard Linda say, "Oh, I agree with Sean Kadim. I think he's a wonderful guy. I think he's right on the money." You know, we hear Paul Hart, "Oh, the mayor's wonderful. The mayor's great. The mayor's fantastic." I didn't elect you to give me the play-by-play or the complimentary bullshit. I elected you to represent me and the rest of the people. We want representation. We don't want bullshit. And all we get is bullshit. We don't get true representation.
No, look, she said it clearly. She said she went to those meetings for 5 years, and for 45 minutes, all they do is tell each other how great they are and how wonderful everything is. And all we have to do is, like I said, I always try to take these things and put them in a context of what we see here. And you find there is a common denominator. They all do it the same way, maybe with a little different tactic or a little different propaganda. But think about it. Remember when Seth Akins went to the council and said it's his job to convince people?
Yeah.
So, when I was a lawyer, I had to convince people, and now it's my job to convince you. No, it isn't. And when we made that presentation, you and I went up there, and I said, it's not your job to convince anybody. It's your job to give them accurate numbers and information. But this is what they think they're doing as politicians. See, politicians' jobs is to convince you that they're doing a good job, no matter how bad the job they're doing is. And that's the key. Like you said, people are going to say, "Oh yeah, oh it's wonderful. The city's wonderful. Everything's wonderful." And I saw in your flush we were 24th in the country or something. Yeah. So I mean that's pretty good. That's pretty good for us, 24th for the state. But I mean, we're the third worst state in the country to retire in. We're the second worst state now behind California for cost of living and people fleeing and things like that. But see, then they don't care. Auchincloss is going to come down here and talk with Paul about crap. And it's all propaganda. The only way to fix it is to vote, people. Don't forget, everybody's going to be happy. But like I said, we're in for I think we're in for a really, really exciting time here, because Trump seems to have trying to clean up government, trying to actually do the right thing. So there goes your theory about he wants to throw out everybody, because he said right on national TV, can't take it back. He has sympathy for the dreamers. So, but he doesn't have sympathy for the people who came in here and committed criminal acts and just ran here looking for free shit. They all got to go. It's that simple. People that have been here 5 or 10 years, he went on national TV. And like you said, CJ, it really screws him up, because he seemed to learn a lot after that first presidency. He's really laser focused on doing things. But I'm going to tell you something. They're going to fight to the death. You think that 99% of those political ticks making huge money, taking bubble baths while at home and being paid not to come to work, are not going to fight with every fiber of their being to keep their no-show jobs and their big salaries for doing nothing? Of course they are. Do you think that these politicians who said they were fighting for democracy now all want pardons? We're doing the right thing? No. Why does Adam Schiff need a pardon if the January 6th committee didn't suppress evidence, lie, manufacture evidence, get rid of thousands of hours of videos that disproved everything they said? All of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute. That was a great, they were the great defenders of democracy, but you need a pardon. They all want pardons. They're going to pardon everybody. Oh, it's because of the orange monster. He's coming after him. Well, if you're innocent, if there's nothing, if they got nothing on you, why do you need a pardon? You know, they think everybody's like as dumb as they are. It's crazy. But I think, you know, January can't come quick enough. I can't wait till January 20th.
That's it. That's it. A new day in the United States and a new day for the people. And if he does, and I believe he will, exactly what he says, he's going to get sworn in, go directly to the Oval Office, sit down, and start signing executive orders. He's going to have them all ready to go. And I'm sure that there's going to be people that are not going to be happy. Okay? And it's too bad. And for Biden to turn around and say he's thinking about issuing preemptive pardons tells me that he knows something's wrong. Okay? He pardoned his son after he said he wouldn't. He promised he wouldn't, but he did. How do you know a politician's lying? His lips are moving.
Yeah. And listen, I mean, the issue we have here is that these people are going to fight. They're going to fight to the death about this, because just think about this. People in this state should be outraged. People in California should be outraged. People in Illinois should be outraged when their governors, their mayors are saying that they're going to use tax money to fight the federal government for protecting us against illegals who are committing crimes and who are in here getting billions of dollars. Healy wants more money. They should be immediately removed from office. But they're going to fight with our money. Remember, Maura Healey isn't going to use her money to keep this state a shithole. She's going to use our money. And so is Gavin Newsom. And so is Pritzker. They're going to use taxpayer money to keep this country being invaded by people and giving billions of dollars to these illegals who are committing crimes, who are sucking up welfare at our expense. And you're not outraged? Listen, I expect them to do that because they're insane. But for the people in this state not to rise up, because there are more of them. There are not more of them than there are of us. There are more average and poor people than them. You know, all the rich clowns in Newton and Wellesley, like Auchincloss and the rest of them, all the Harvard yards in the Brownies from over in Rhode Island, all the Ivy League, they're rich enough not to care. You're not seeing yeah. Yeah, well, he's more than shady. He pardoned a criminal. I mean, look, this guy wasn't it wasn't political retribution that he was, they're trying to say they were picking on him because he was a kid. Yeah, okay. So they're picking on the kid from the South Bronx who they locked up for dealing drugs, running prostitutes, and evading taxes, right? That was political persecution. No, it wasn't for that kid. He's going to jail. They're locking his ass up so fast, your head's going to spin. But Hunter Biden, poor little Hunter, the little child, he didn't know what he was doing. What is he, 55? Give it a break, Democrats. The kid's he's a man. He's a full-grown scumbag man who's done nothing. Oh, the gun crime too, by the way. If any of one of us put in a falsified application for a gun and procured a gun and then disposed of it near a school while it was loaded, you'd be doing time.
That's right.
So, but Biden can give a blanket pardon to him. Does that mean, answer a question, CG? I was mulling that over. So if he gives a preemptive pardon that says you're exempt from any federal crime, you're not exempt from some state and local, but federal stuff, prosecution. So if you go into a federal building and shoot it up and kill a few people, are you exempt from the murder charges? It was in a federal building, right?
No.
It's not going to be tried in the state. It's going to be tried in a federal court, right?
Depending on when that shooting was, before or after the pardon. If it's after the pardon, it doesn't apply. If it's before the pardon, it will apply.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's like preemptive pardon. Now, and then so now he's got the whole. But think about it. He's got the entire scope of all the time, like from the Ice Age to now, because he gave Hunter a pardon retroactively. So that went from whenever he wanted to now. Now right. He's going to give preemptive pardons from now forward.
Right.
So we've covered it all. Joe's going to give you a pardon no matter when you did it. So, I mean, this is outrageous. It is outrageous.
Well, I guess he's not so dumbfounded that he doesn't know what he can and cannot do. Or his people are telling him what he can and cannot do.
Are you kidding? His brother's writing his own pardon now. Right
I agree.
Now, here, Joe, put this in if you can find the office.
That's it. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. It was a great show. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. And Jeff will get to your subject then. Thank you.